Again, Joel, your Bisaya reader, and welcome back to another video. And for today, I'm going to present to you the books I've finished reading or I've read for the month of January 2020. So basically, this is my January 2020 reading wrap-up. So for this month, or for the month of January, I have read 4 books, and yeah, let's just dive into it. The first book I finished for the year 2020 is going to be an adult fantasy, Joe Abercrombie's A Little Hatred. This is a first book of the series, but actually 7th or 8th book in the world. If you've noticed, if you've heard about A Little Hatred, Blade itself. The Blade itself by Joe Abercrombie is the first book of the world. Joe Abercrombie is really known to be a great writer under the subgenre of fantasy, which is grimdark fantasy. And I, by the way, got this gorgeous copy hardback as a gift last Christmas. And yeah, so let's dive right into it. This is the first book I've finished. And first of all, I gave this 5 stars. It's a solid 5 stars for me. And there's only one negative thing that I found on this book that I still can't get over until now, and that is the little element of fantasy, because I was actually expecting this one to be having a lot of fantasy, a lot of magic, a lot of powers, but it turned out to be fantasy is just like a grain of salt. I mean, the entire story, for example, it's 100% story, 100% world. The fantasy element in this book or in this world is only around 2%. And that's it. The fantasy element does not really, affect the plot. It does not affect the story. It only affects one of the characters or one of their main characters. So yeah, that's quite disappointing for me because I was really expecting that this is going to be really, really dark, full of magic, full of powers, but it turned out to be a completely different, completely something that I did not really expect. But it doesn't mean I hated this. Again, I gave this a solid 5 star because it turned out to be something I did not expect, but something that I will really love. So first of all, there's going to be a lot of perspectives here. We have actually around 4 main characters, and the book is actually switching from one main character to the next main character, different perspectives. So I can see some will have, will be confused or will not like that kind of writing style, but for me it did work. It may take a while for you to be hooked in this one. I was actually trying so hard to like this book at the first 100 pages, because the first 100 pages, again, I was really expecting some magic, but it turned out to be just a basic historical fiction with a lot of info dumping, and which is I'm not really familiar of the world, because again, this is the 8th book of the world written by the author, but the first book of the series. But if you're going to ask me, am I going to read this without reading the 7th book behind before this one? I guess yes, because the 7 books will actually really affect the story and the plot of this one. This is actually a completely new series, and the first book of the series, new story, but it may affect or it may add, if you've read the other books before this, it may have influenced your enjoyment or entertainment, because there's some information that happened on the other books that was mentioned here. So if you haven't read those, you might think, oh, what does the author mean about this, or what are they talking about? So you will not miss some fun. That's what I think. But again, I've read this without reading the 7 books, and it was completely fine for me. It was even more than okay for me. With the plot, it was more of like very political. That's what I think. If you like a book set in a historical fiction like medieval period with very highly politically intrigue, then I highly suggest this one. It's about two. I am really having a hard time. We have our main character, his hunger for power, hunger for money. One main character is a bastard or a prince, but he don't know how to be a prince. He's always a loser. One main character who always wants to prove himself as a soldier, as the best soldier on the other capital. And there's also one main character, is a girl who has this power, who can see the long eye, who can see the future, a glimpse of the future. So that's basically are the main characters. But overall, as we follow them, as we progress, especially when you reach the half part of the book, all of their paths will be intertwined, and then you'll figure out where the story is going to, and everything will make sense in the end. Everything will be very satisfying in the end. That's why I really love this book. I did not expect how gory or how bloody it is. This is actually the first grimdark fantasy I'm going to read. I've read, and it reminds me a lot of Game of Thrones, which I miss. But yeah, very interesting. You will hate some of the characters. It will remind you something about Cersei that you're going to hate. Like there will be a lot of emotions that will be steered to you, and yeah. If you're going to pick this one up, I suggest or I warn you, this may start really slow, but I am asking you to hang in there, continue reading because great things are about to happen, especially from the second part of the book till the end. Especially the ending is. I just can't really wait. I don't want to spoil you guys, but I cannot really wait to read the next installment, which is I don't know the title yet, but for sure I'm going to read the next installment. So my first experience with Jerry Abercrombie, or the first Grimdark fantasy I've read, was a blast for me, and the first book of 2020 was a blast for me. So yeah, the next book I finished reading for the month of January 2020 is going to be The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I didn't expect I'm going to read this one because I have a lot of books on my January TBR, which I presented up a month ago, and this is not one of them. I picked this one up because I did a try a chapter book tag, and after reading the first chapter of this book, I was hooked. I was sold. So like I need to read next chapters. The first chapter of this book was really good. It was really fast. The main character, was well established. Her motivations was well established. So everything that the main character is doing, Rin, that's the main character, all of her choices, everything that's happening to her, you are really invested as a reader because you can really feel where she's coming from. You do really understand who she is as a character. So you're going to really root for her from the very beginning. So you can't really stop yourself from reading the next chapter and the next chapter. That is why, even though this is not part of my TBR, I picked this one as soon as possible after I finished reading the first chapter. And boy, I gave this 4 stars out of 5 stars because the first part of this book, it was really clear that it's going to be an outline favorite for me. It was epic. Like, it was perfect for me. The first part of the book was perfect for me. It was really the school system, the characters, the training, this magic system, the atmosphere of the world given by R.F. Kuang on the first few chapters, or the first half of the book, was amazing. And then shit happens in the middle, and I did feel that I was reading a different book when I reached the middle. I can see that this one is book 1, this one is book 2, or this one is another book, and this one is. I do feel that it's a different author who wrote the rest of the book. It's just, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I I I, I hated that because I wanted more from what happened in the first part of the book, and I wasn't able to get that. So but yeah, good things. The book ended pretty good. Also, it was kind of good and satisfying. But it was really cringy and cliche sometimes. There were some tropes that I did not really like. Some young adult tropes. I don't want to see an adult. This is an adult fantasy, and yeah, I still gave it 4 stars though, even though how bad or how disappointed or frustrated I am on the last half of this book. And yeah, this is um I'm sorry. I'm not really feeling good right now. I'm feeling under the weather. Uh, but yeah, I'm still going to read the Dragon Republic, which is the second book, and I can't really wait to read those. I've heard good reviews, and they said that second book of the series is way better than this one. So yeah, I'm just going to wait for the Harper Oh my god. Hyper Voyager edition so that it will match on my shelf. But this one, it was supposed to be an all-time favorite. I just why RF? Why did you do that? Why did you decide to go in that direction? It could have been epic, and I don't know. It just ruined the experience for me. But eventually, I was able to, the book was able to recover in the end. So yeah, I still gave it 4 stars, but it could have been better if the author went into the original direction. Okay, now let's proceed to the third book I finished this year, which is also part of the trying to read the first chapter book tag, and it's also not part of my original January TBR, but I was able to pick this one up because again the first chapter was really good, and this is the Pulitzer Prize winner for 2013 or 2014 by Anthony Dower, The All the Lights We Cannot See, and there's one thing that I'm really impressed on this book, and that is the prose. Prose is the writing style of the author. Um, the author do have a very good prose. The writing style on this one was beyond. I've never read a book in my entire life. It was just as good as writing style as one. It was creative, but not overdoing it. That makes you really confused or makes the pacing of the book dragging. It was just the right amount of creativity and right amount of info dumping that will surely hook you as a reader. I am not a big historical fiction reader, but this one, for the main reason of that, I always find historical fiction as boring or dragging, a lot of info dumping, and this one, it did not give me a boring part. It did not give me a dragging part. It was really fast paced. I did appreciate how the author makes each chapter really short because it it was clever. It was really clever, and I find it very interesting, and it gave me a big impact on continue reading the book because of the short chapters, and yeah, the writing style. And aside from the writing style, I haven't seen any bad things on this book. The ending was okay. It was not bad. I can see why other people hated it. But the story, it was really beautiful. This is set in a World War II, where we're following two main characters. One is a German soldier, and the other one is a blind French girl, I think. And yeah, it's during the war, during the siege of Saint Malo. Um, Werner and Mary was, I don't know. Werner was this perfect character that always wanted. You're going to love him. You're going to root for him. Marie was this clever, brilliant, and a character that you can't stop yourself from loving. And yeah, this book was just really special. It is heartbreaking. It is beautifully written. It is perfect on all aspect for me, and it's a solid 5 star. And the writing style, in top it with the writing style, aside from the story and the prose, the writing style and the technicalities of how this book was written, it was perfect. It was really perfect. So if you haven't read this one, if you are intimidated to read historical fiction, maybe because it's not for you, maybe because it will bore you, or it will, give you dragging moments. This one will not give you those because this is a historical fiction, the first historical fiction I've read that I really find fast paced, that I really find very interesting. And guys, if you want to read a book with a perfect writing style, check this one out. I haven't read any book with as perfect prose as that one by Anthony Doerr, and I can see why he won the Pulitzer Prize that year. And yeah, we're down to the last book I have read in January 2020, and I have actually listened or finished the book listening to the Audible. I got this as part of my plan for $0. Oh, sorry, $0.99 for 3 month subscription for Kindle Unlimited. So it's part of the list of the Kindle Unlimited on Amazon, and I initially just trying to read it. in the office using the Kindle Oasis. But again, I can't bring the Kindle Oasis here at home, so I just downloaded the Audible on my phone, and I didn't really expect that I'm going to finish it as fast as I did. I just really tried to read the first two chapters on the Kindle Oasis, and then I listened to the next chapters while I am on my way home from the office, and I just caught myself that I'm halfway through the story. It was that good. I gave it 5 stars again. Oh my god, it could have been all 5 stars. January was really a great reading month for me because I have read 3 5-star books, 1 4-star book. It could have been all 5 stars if the Puppet War was just, no. Going back to this is actually, if we're the book that I've read is where the stars meets, where the forest meets the stars, and I forgot the author. And yeah, that the book was, how do you say this? It's fantasy. That's what the advertisement is trying to deliver. It's a fantasy, which is I need you to explore. It's very interesting. It started with a mystery. It started with magical realism. Uh, it's a very limited book in terms of characters and plot because again we're just going to follow 3 main characters, and we're just going to follow them in this one compound at the edge of the forest where the main character is completing her PhD in what you call this? She's studying birds. She's trying to track nest, and then one day while she's trying to make her dinner, there's a girl out of nowhere who asked for food from her, and this girl tried to introduce herself. She's from outer space, from this planet. She's an alien. She's only here on Earth because she needs to experience 5 miracles, and then after witnessing 5 miracles, she's going to abandon the body of the girl that she found, which is already dead by the way, and she's going back to her planet. And that's it. And then there's this guy who sells eggs, and then the 3 characters met all together, and things happened, and it was heartbreaking. It was full of emotions, which I did not really expect. It was beautifully written, but there's some parts that I think there's a need of improvement. It's not a perfect. It's not perfectly written, but it was beautiful on most part. And also, um, there's inconsistency of the main character, the scientist. I did find her character really inconsistent. There were some parts that's you felt that it's not that character that you used to know on the first part of the book, and then after several chapters it goes back to the character you used to know in the book. But the main character that I really loved was the girl, and her name is Orsa, because there's Orsa Major and Orsa Minor, because they don't know how to name the girl, because the name of the girl is actually really gibberish because she's an alien, so they just tried to name her Orsa Major, which is from stars. And there's Ursa Minor, the name of the dog, which you eventually know the dog if you're going to read the book. So they call Ursa Major. That's my favorite character in the book, and she's one of the best characters I've read so far for the past couple of years. She's amazing. She's brilliant. She's a really awesome alien, and yeah. Also, Tammy was really consistent. Was well established, and I did not really expect that book will ruin my emotions, that will break my heart. It was really heartbreaking and heartwarming. And yeah, if you haven't read that one, it's a pretty short book. You'll be able to. I finished reading or listening to it, 2 days I think, and it was brilliant. It was fast paced. It's not boring, and it's full of emotions. So yeah, those are the books that I've read, or the 4 books I've read for the month of January. So I hope if you've read these books, please leave some comments down below. And what do you think about this? Did you love these books? And yeah, thank you so much. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And see you again. Thank you so much for viewing my video, guys. Have a good day. My name is Joel, your Bisaya reader, and bye bye.